Okay, everyone, welcome back to Turnabouts of the Father. I actually looked up on YouTube to see if someone else had played this, and I don't think they have. I don't think anyone has ever played this case before, or at least recorded and showed it on the YouTubes. There is another case that was there, and it was like 8 hours long, but I still want to play it for reasons. But because of this, that means I cannot actually look up a guide for this case. I'm actually going to have to figure it out for myself. Very interesting. Nope. Talasa's profile is glitched. It literally does not show no matter what, but we already know what she looks like, so whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna press every statement again, just in case something is gonna be different. And if not, then we'll have to present something at some place. Okay, I didn't press every statement, but I mean, I did press every statement once, just not twice, and twice is a bit ridiculous, especially if that's the case. So I'm gonna start guessing right now, because this is really airtight. This is gonna be a hardcore case, I feel. It's gonna take me a while, so hold on a moment. Okay, for this statement, the friend, what he forgot was a locket, but the locket is not in the evidence, and I'm thinking I'm gonna have to present something at some point here, but I don't know what would contradict the statement she's doing right now. That's the problem. So I don't know. It may be something for later. I have a feeling that this one statement is gonna be thoroughly investigated, thoroughly like I would have to present over several statements everything wrong with it, maybe. Or maybe not, who knows. I don't, that's for sure. Okay, let's start with this. We're gonna present the key on this statement with the idea that we're saying that the maid actually had the key all along and she put it in onto the Butts' pocket. Nope, that's not it. Yes, okay, now I have to go back. Ugh, whatever. Just in case, I'll present everything on this statement. I feel I have to present something on this statement specifically, but obviously I could be wrong. That's not it either. Yes, I know I cannot present until it's done. Crime scene photo, okay. No. Autopsy report? Nope, not at all. Okay, so this statement is for later or never. Present the key here. Nope. Present the window here. Randomly guessing right now. Crime scene info here. No. The key? Oh, that makes no sense. Autopsy report? I'm probably gonna have to start presenting profiles too. Because I'm only presenting evidence right now. I'm hoping the game is gonna be nice to me and it's an evidence that I'm supposed to present, but I don't have too high hopes. Actually, I do have high hopes that it's evidence that I have to present because I had to get evidence out of Franziska. But it's possible I have to present one of the profiles first. The wife, the friend, the maid. Hell, maybe even other characters. Wait. The friend should have seen Butts having been shot, right? Yeah, but actually, he like according to the way Francisca says it, it must have happened after the friend was back. Yeah, okay. Still airtight for a testimony. Or rebuttal, as it actually is. Oh, what? Crime scene info at this statement. What? Okay, I would like to see where the logic goes here. That's a shame. I expected a bit more from you. I mean that it's impossible for someone to have pulled this off under the assumed circumstances. And what is that supposed to mean? Here's the basic outline of what had to have happened. The culprit had to have been in the room to kill Mr. Butts. Assuming there is one. Assuming there is one. And when Mr. Butts was killed, a gunshot must have been heard. The gunshot was heard by the two witnesses, and they immediately reacted on it. The way they did so makes it impossible for the culprit to have been in the room at the time. So again, assuming there is a culprit at work here, it stands to reason that he couldn't have been in the room at the time. So it stands to reason that he doesn't exist. Objection, yes. That's not what I said. What I said was, when the gunshot was heard, the culprit was already long gone. And how exactly is that possible? The gun was fired only once, and the bullet was in Mr. Butts' head. Oh, let me guess. The culprit was a ghost. No, come on. Thought she'd be smarter than this. It means two things. Don't forget that this is an alternate universe, by the way. Alternate universe, not the same as the main canon. 1. Since the culprit wasn't in the room, it must mean that he already left. If he already left, that means that Mr. Butts must have been dead. So, 2. If Mr. Butts was already dead, that means that what they heard wasn't actually a gunshot. Not actually a gunshot. My god. First off, do you even have proof that Mr. Butts was dead by the time the gunshot was heard? Proof? Not quite. I do have proof that it was possible for him to have been dead at that point. Here's hoping. Let's see. I want to present the window. I'm not seeing your proof. Yeah, I'm not following Apollo's logic here. I'll present the crime scene info, I suppose. That's not it either. Probably a profile, actually. I'm gonna present the friend then. Nope, still not it. This is hard. This is a very hard case. The key. Nope, still not the key. I guess it's just a crime scene info. No. Autopsy report? Yeah, okay, it's the time of death. Yeah, okay, I thought that was suspect, but I didn't think it would come in this early. 9:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. Oh yeah, because it's possible. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. I wasn't following the train of logic Apollo had. True, but it does leave the possibility open. Not when you consider all the facts. I mean, if he was killed earlier, why was only one gunshot heard? Simple, the killer most likely used a silencer. And then set off a mechanism to appear as if the actual gunshot occurred later. A mechanism, you say? It had to have been something other than a gun. Since, as you say, it was fired only once. There is a radio in that room. Of course. Yep. Crime scene info. A robot. That self-destructed after its role was complete. Who would come up with something like that? Very well then. What part of this points out to this mechanism? The radio. Or no? Huh. So I can only choose the house statement, the dining room statement, or the ledger statement. I wish I could say that use the cupboard statement because that's the one that has a radio, but no, actually I think that means the dining room, right? More radio. It couldn't have very well evaporated. Unless it was a dry ice tape. I swear to God, they're making fun of me. No, it wasn't a freaking dry ice tape. So how did it disappear? Okay. I like that it's not that big of a punish. Tape was never found because the culprit took it. Right? Like the friend took it. Sorry if I don't not narrating everything, but this is getting interesting. We're actually making progress. But of course they could have. They had a chance during the very discovery of the body. So what you're essentially suggesting is that one of the two people that found the body is the culprit. That is exactly what I'm suggesting. Ah, well, in that case, it still doesn't change the fact that the circumstances behind the matter are impossible. It's still a locked room. Is it, though? There are ways to explain it now, thanks to this. I'm sure there are. But unfortunately, there's hardly any way to prove it. Of course there isn't. But I have no choice here. My goal here is to show that there's an alternate explanation for what happened. Nothing less, nothing more. As long as it's within the realm of reason and can be properly investigated, then I can still make my case. Realm of reason varies from person to person, I assure you. I like to think that I'm pretty objective. Says that man who accepted to defend a dead man. Anyway, just give me a chance here. We'll see. Do your best. Impress me. What? Okay, wasn't clicking properly for some reason. Nope. So, what are you waiting for? You know what? I'm sorry. I have to read what just happened because it was quite a lot to take in, just to make sure. Okay. Super objection. Okay. This just makes it more complicated. Ugh. Yeah. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what will happen. Okay, so I press and then it gives me the option to press or to do the super objection. Okay, this is a super objection. So the key. Add more evidence. And the maid. I can add even more, but no, actually, Apollo specified that 2 evidence is the most we'll ever need to present. Probably. I won't be surprised if the final thing to do would be presenting like 3 things at once. And that's not the correct thing to do, so... Whoops! God, this is gonna be really, really hard. No, it's not just 1 piece of evidence I can present 2. And the fact that I can present 2 means there's tons of possibilities now. Oof. Give me some time. Okay, how about this statement? The friend in the window. You know? Like, obviously, like, it says on the description of the window that it was closed and locked when the door was broken down. But... oh no, I'm still going for it. I have to try. The window. And the friend. Still not it, huh? Well, maybe just present a friend then. Oh, you can no longer just present something. You have to use the super objection. Huh. Well, that didn't do anything. Still, I'm gonna try one more time with just a window. Nope. Either it's a different combination or it's a different statement that I have to look into. I mean, like, this was the statement that I had to first object on, and I didn't expect that at all. Oh, what? Okay, the friend in the window on this statement. The one where the friend checks the window. Yes, it is a solution. That's what I been wanting to do for quite a while. Apparently I had to do it on this statement. It was Mr. Butts' friend. Interesting choice. Then again, you only had 2 choices, so... Anyway, here's what happened. At least it seems like the only option here. Or maybe I'm just too desperate here to find a reasonable explanation. After the friend left, he actually re-entered the house through the dining room window. He killed Mr. Butts and placed the gun in his hand. After this, he set up the tape trick and left through the window. At around 10, he returned under the pretense that he had forgotten something. He probably left the object in question behind intentionally. I mean, it's all rather convenient for him, wouldn't you say? And so, they broke down the door. But the window was closed and locked. If he left through the window, then there would have been nobody left to close it. But there was somebody to close it. That man who claimed it was closed and locked from the very beginning. The true culprit. While the maid was focused on the body and the key, he took the time to lock the window. After all, chances are he could have just pulled it from the outside just enough to appear as if it's closed. At least just enough for the maid not to notice. That's quite a lot of conjecture, wouldn't you say? Yes, it is, actually. Took the words right out from my mouth, Miss Von Karma. You're the friend, aren't you? Right out of my mouth, I tell you. Sorry, and you are? Oh, come now, isn't it hard to guess? Or it isn't hard to guess. Who's the most likely to react when someone's accused of murder? The person accused. Congrats. You get a gold star. Mr. Wright, with all due respect, I could have easily handled this situation myself. I have no doubt you could have. But I want to make sure there's no misunderstanding here. I didn't kill Larry. He killed himself. It isn't exactly the easiest of things to admit, but that's how it is. And that's something you'll have to accept, boy. Ah, but I know. You're just doing your job. Fair enough, but you'll forgive me for standing in your way. After all, it's my life you're trying to play with here. I'm sorry, but who exactly are you? Don't you recognize me, Your Honor? Well, I suppose I can't blame you. It has been a while. The name's Wright. Phoenix Wright. Occupation? Former defense attorney. Okay, so he's still a defense attorney, huh? Like in this universe, that's what I mean. Currently a piano player. We are also Mr. Butts' legal advisor. Key word, was. Not really much point to it now that he's dead. I'm still waiting for the good wife to accept my services. Fair enough. I imagine you wish to testify. Indeed I do, Your Honor. Oh, nice. A lot of progress. Probably going to be an even tougher testimony to dissect, too. The young boy proposes an interesting theory, but I'm afraid it is filled with contradictions. Ones that cannot simply be ignored. Contradictions. Oh, come now. Don't be surprised. I was a lawyer, and I was a good one. The question is, are you a better one? We'll have to see. Okay, this is our actual first testimony because initially we had to deal with a rebuttal. Just trying to adjust my headset here. Okay, and also emergency save just in case. Let's assume I really did what you claim I did. Okay. 1. How exactly did I enter the room? The window? There was no guarantee that Larry would have left the dining room window open, you know. And don't say that the murder wasn't premeditated. It had to have been for that tape of yours. 2. You claim I closed the window after the locked room was broken, but that's impossible. After all, the window itself cannot be fully closed from the outside. So, the maid would have immediately noticed that it still wasn't closed upon entering the room. Meaning that the window must have been closed from the inside. And 3. What guarantee did I have that Larry would be in the room at all? He could have just gone off to bed and all of my plans would have been foiled. Couldn't have said it better myself. This is gonna be tough. I'm quite glad you happen to think so. What about you, boy? We'll see. Yes, we will. These are pretty valid points, but I think I can see explanations here. They're a bit far-fetched, but they make sense, everything considered. You must be aware that your theory is far-fetched to begin with. And you must be aware that I won't give up so easily. I'm not sure why, though. I guess a part of me is just naturally curious to see if this really did happen. Well then, you may proceed with your cross-examination, Mr. Justice. Time to press every single statement. And then have to present either one or two pieces of evidence somewhere. Like, I think so, seriously? Yeah, wow, this super objection thing is gonna be really stressful. Done. But assumptions alone won't carry you all the way. You must be aware of that. You see, nothing is ever so simple. Well, if you confess, it could be. Though I suppose it's too early to jump that far. Admittedly, this is all speculation. But it's the only thing I have to go on for the time being. That's true, it's true, it's all true. Your explanation is flawed on several levels. And unless you can explain them, I'm done for, yeah. I'm glad you understand. So, let's start with something simple, shall we? 1. How exactly did I enter the room? The window? Press. I believe that's what I said, yes. It's not what I think, but we'll get to that later. Well, that's rather fortunate for me. Fortunate? How so? Because it opens the way for the first of many problems. I admit that your theory is technically possible, but as an actual plan that needed to be executed, it doesn't really work. And why is that? Well, if you would let me continue. There was no guarantee that Larry would have left the dining room window open, you know. That's true. Well, at least on face value. Was there really no reason for that window to be opened? Was there nothing Wright could have had an effect on to somehow force the window to be opened? I think it should be something simple, but at the moment I just can't see it. Smoking was involved in the crime because of cigarette butts. Maybe that's gonna be relevant here. Smoking, yeah, it has to be smoking. Someone's in deep thought. Let me continue then. So, this statement here, smoking. So I'm gonna present the crime scene info and, well, the friend whose profile was updated to Phoenix Wright. I'm guessing I'm gonna have to go through all of the 3 different profiles. You have to prove like what they did and see who they are. That's interesting. The maid, I think I know who the maid is. The wife, that's probably the most interesting thing. I have no idea who the wife could be. Let me guess, it's gonna be me. But anyway, continuing. What do you mean by that? Oh, come on. Isn't it obvious? The culprit couldn't have just happened to have a tape with the gunshot sound recorded on it. If the culprit used it, which you claimed I did, then I must have carried it with the original plan of killing Larry. And yet, as I'm sure you'd agree, considering these circumstances, it's a bit questionable, wouldn't you say? I'll be the judge of that. Ah, of course, of course. Don't mind me then. Anyway, my only point here is that the window being opened, or any other element of the crime for that matter, couldn't have been a coincidence. It had to have been insured. Just going back to read the evidence. Ashtray, an ashtray was found on the table. Several extinguished cigarette butts in it. Yes, it has to be this. It has to be this. The cigarette butts. I mean, someone must have smoked. And when someone smokes, usually you keep something open. Well, in my case, in my family, the people who smoke smoke outside, just outside the door. Thinking, I see. Alright. I'll just continue to list the problems against your theory then. 2. You claim a closed press. And why is that? Oh, if you'd let me finish, boy. Why does he keep calling me boy? The window itself cannot be fully closed from the outside. And how do you know that? I've been to the house many times. And in almost all of those times, I was in the dining room when talking to him. You don't think I never touched that window, do you? But hey, if you don't trust me, ask the good Miss Von Karma. It's true. While the window can be pulled from the outside, it can't be done in a way that it appears as fully closed from inside of the room. And there you go. Your theory fails. So the maid would have instantly noticed that it wasn't closed upon entering the room. Not necessarily. She could have been too distracted with the sight of the body. But that would have been quite a risk to take, wouldn't you say? What if she had reacted calmly? What's then? She would have seen the open window, my plan would have been all for naught. Face it, that's an undeniable fact. When everything is taken into account by your logic, that window would have still been open. But that would have been immediately noticed, meaning that the window must have been closed from the inside. Yeah, it must have been done by Mr. Butts. Unless it was suicide. Ergo, it must have been suicide. I don't think you could have forced him to stay in the room, so if I assumed that the two of them were friends, that they knew each other well, then perhaps he used one of Mr. Butts' habits against them. Is there any reason Mr. Butts would have stayed in the room of his own free will? I don't think... The radio thing. Yeah, it must be the radio. Malton's point from this is... He could have just gone off to bed and all of my plans would have been foiled. I'm just gonna look up the profiles again, because this is a complicated case. Was a supposed spirit medium, he collected figurines, listened to late-night radio dramas. Yep, it must be the radio for that previous statement. I was hoping for more evidence, but nope. Okay, so... Is it this statement? Yeah, it was this one. In this case, I think the objection will only be one piece of evidence. Can I do it with just like this? No, I have to use the super objection, of course. Sexy hobo! Well, let's go through this. Yeah. You smexy hobo! It's way better. This is creepy. Let's actually move on. So maybe I have to add more evidence here. Or maybe I should reread what happened. Oh, yeah! The medical file. It was recently discovered that Mr. Butts was suffering breathing issues. Upon closer examination, it was discovered that some of his lung tissue was damaged. So, he was a smoker, was he? Well, whatever the case, super objection with the autopsy report now. Still not enough, huh? Okay. Super objection with... crime scene info and the autopsy report. Yep, both altogether work, but individually they do not. It was a relatively simple way for you to have ensured for the window to be open. And all it took was some small knowledge of the victim. Is that so? Well, do tell. To prove my point, I'll use the autopsy report. You ought to be a bit more specific than that. Which page of the Odyssey report contains this knowledge Mr. Wright used? Page 3. Well, obviously he couldn't have done much with knowing the victim was dead, so... It was the medical file. If you take a look here, you'll see that the victim's lungs were severely damaged. Yeah, he mentioned that. He was taking treatment, though. Yet again, I must ask what this has to do with Mr. Wright's plan. That's where my second piece of evidence comes in. Ooh, this is exciting when it works. It's really exciting when it works. Mr. Wright used something in that dining room to ensure that window was open when he needed it to be. Interesting. Well then, let's hear it. And let's save. What did I use to ensure that the window was opened? The ashtray. What's the worst thing for a person with damaged lungs? Smoke. If you take a look here, you'll see that across where the victim was sitting, there was an ashtray with several cigarette butts. Mr. Wright, are you a smoker? You tell me I'm a habitual one, yes. There you go then. You lit several cigarettes in hopes of filling the room with smoke. Mr. Butts, considering his medical condition, would have been quite uneasy, I'm sure. So, you knew that he would have had no choice but to open a window. Objection! And suppose he'd opened it during my visit and then chose to close it right after I left. That would have been quite a hitch in my plan, wouldn't you say? Objection! As long as you kept smoking for the duration of your visit, Mr. Butts would have had no choice but to keep the window open for at least a few minutes after you left. Which was, really, all you needed. And that's how you got him to keep the window open. Gotcha where I need you, right? Fair enough, I suppose. It's a bit far-fetched, wouldn't you say? It is, but I can't exactly deny it. Those cigarette butts are mine. Now, whether I smoked as a part of a master plan or not is another thing entirely. Naturally, I'm willing to say yes. Of course you are. Well, no matter. No matter? Your theory still has more than enough holes for me not to be bothered by it. So this is where I start proving the rest of the stuff wrong. So we've already done this. I'm not sure what I'm gonna have to do for this statement, the second statement. The third statement, I have an idea. Don't know which statement to press though exactly. Probably just the third one. Right here. Suppress, super objection. Crime scene info. And Larry Butts' profile. Yep! This one is kind of a long shot. But screw it. Everyone's treating this like a hot joke anyway. There was a simple way for you to know that Mr. Butts would stay in that room. It's thanks to an object in it. Is that so? And what object might that be? It's the radio. The radio again? The radio again. Say, Mr. Wright. Heard that Mr. Butts had a thing for listening late night radio dramas? Oh, I heard that Mr. Butts had a thing for listening to late night dramas. Is that true? Yes, it is. I don't know if he told you that, but you're not wrong. He did have a thing for that, yes. So considering that the only radio in the entire house is the dining room, isn't it possible that you timed your visit in such a way that you ensured that when you left, he would stay in the dining room, turn on the radio, and listen to his radio dramas? That's quite a long shot, you know. Yeah, I know. Answer the question, Mr. Wright. Is it, or is it not possible? How should I know? I didn't do it. Well, the defense believes that's the case. What you believe is irrelevant. Well, it's the explanation I'm giving for why the victim didn't leave the room. If you have any evidence to disprove my claim, I'd like to see it. In any case, I was asked a question and I gave an answer. What say you, Mr. Wright? Well, I suppose I have no choice here but to concede. But there are still issues. Actually, I only have one more thing left to explain. Objection! Ah, I see. You? Seriously? But the thing is, I was actually supposing that the second statement would not be something I have to explain because it seemed unreasonably difficult. But perhaps I could have explained it, and it's just like after you prove two things wrong, you move on to this. Anyway, I couldn't help but overhear this little exchange. And give a little of opinion of my own on it. Who are you supposed to be? That's a good question. You mean he isn't one of the witnesses? He could be the wife. No. Unless one of my witnesses was secretly 6.5 feet tall, blonde and male. No, he is most certainly not. What are you doing here? This trial is closed off to the public. My apologies. You see, I'm a defense attorney. I've just finished handling the case next door, over in courtroom number 5. I won, in case you're interested. I'm not. We're not. Yes, well... I'm afraid it's been a while since I've handled a case in this particular district. So I got a bit lost on my way out and ended up in this courtroom's gallery. How did nobody stop him? Man, the security here is as tight... Well, the majority of law enforcement security in this city, actually. Intrigued with the concept of the trial, I decided to listen in. And as you were cross-examining this fellow here, I realized something. I was an unintentional witness on the night of the suicide. What? Well, isn't that interesting? Why didn't you step forward as a witness earlier? Well, I wasn't aware of what I had witnessed. Not to mention, something happens in this city every day, Mr. Justice, is it? You will excuse me for missing word of a medium committing suicide, yes? I'm more interested in what you mean when you say you weren't aware of what you were witnessing. Well, in truth, I witnessed nothing. However, in case of Mr. Justice's accusations, it might prove to be quite a bit more than that. I'm sorry. You're being awfully vague here. I was going to say gay. Then perhaps I should testify. How about you give us your name first, huh? Ah, yes, of course. My apologies. I never testified in a court of law myself, so you can excuse me that I forgot. My name is Christoph Gavin. As I mentioned just now, I'm a defense attorney. Yeah, his profile has been added. Apparently a random passerby that happened to have been near the crime scene on the night of murder. A likely story, I know. This is very highly unusual and suspicious. Suppose not. I'm glad I don't have to disprove the second statement that Wright had, actually. That would have been, that would have taken a while, probably. Anyway. Well then, I do my best. Something's off here. Like, really off. Like, really suspicious off. Is there actually more to this than I thought?